I've been taking NMN for a full year, and in this episode, I'm going to be covering some of the most compelling science that leads me to believe that NMN supplementation is a good thing for everyone to do. I'm also going to be giving you my highlights from the year so you can get a good idea of maybe some of the things to expect as you make your decision. Now, the problem is NMN is a experimental molecule. I decided not to take NMN for a long time simply because I didn't know what was good stuff and what wasn't. It was all supposedly really great, but the prices would vary, and I was just really confused. And so I was really fortunate that I was able to make friends with someone who is actually in this field.
As a scientist, I always look at the evidence myself when it comes to any kind of supplement. There is a study with healthy old men over 65 years old. It actually shows that NMN can basically fight age-related muscle degeneration, which is quite a big problem after you hit 40. The most compelling reasons to take NMN is that first, that it's safe, and secondly, it shows very promising result not only in animal models but then also in the human clinical studies.
That was Dr. Elena Saranova. She's a friend of mine, a friend of this channel, and she's been a really big help in my development as far as what it is NMN is and what it does. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that I completely understand it all, but there are a lot of studies that I think absolutely justify supplementation of NMN.
Recently, a very cool study on NMN. So they basically had some mice taking NMN, and then they had some humans taking NMN as well for 30, 60, and 90 days. During the study, they were measuring the length of their telomeres. Everything that had to do with the group that was taking the NMN, all the indicators of health were increased with the NMN intake. After 30 days, you see an increase in telomeres. After 60 days and after 90 days, it's looking very good because you can see that there is a time-dependent result here.
Telomeres are the ends of our DNA strands, and there's a correlation between how long telomeres are and how long you have left to live. So the longer your telomeres, generally the younger your biological age is and the longer you have left to live. So taking NMN showed in both humans and in mice progressively 30 days, 45 days, and 65 days. In each one, they saw a lengthening of those telomeres. One of the problems that we see with aging and obesity is a lack of insulin sensitivity. One of the studies that was done on obese and overweight women that were postmenopausal. Taking NMN improved insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is something that we typically see decline, especially with age, and especially as we become overweight and obese. So this was really interesting to show that simply by taking NMN, there was a verifiable marker that was basically reversed. However, one of the most compelling pieces of research that I found was done on people who were not suffering from age-related problems. They were ordinary, healthy individuals. And it showed that supplementation with NMN improved their overall cardiovascular health and their endurance and athletic performance. So there is a direct correlation between taking NMN even when you're not unhealthy and an overall improvement in your health. One of my worries about NMN was that it is an experimental molecule, so I wasn't sure, is this something, yes, maybe there's potential benefits, but it might turn out to be something that's dangerous. They used a dosage of up to 1.2 grams of NMN, which is a relatively large dose. They established that, okay, it is a safe thing to do. There are no obvious side effects that we can see. Studies are ongoing when it comes to NMN. It seems to be a very promising molecule. There's studies right now in overall human performance, muscular development, even fertility in that world, and recovering from major viruses. So I've been taking this now for a full year, and over that full year, I have noticed some things. The biggest thing that you're gonna see advertised is that you see an energy boost. And I will say that in the very first few weeks, maybe the first month, I did feel an energy boost, but this leveled off and I really didn't notice any major energy boost after that. But that's not why I'm taking NMN. If you're trying to get energy, why not take MagicMind? Link below. When it comes to taking NMN, I didn't really notice a lot of energy. So why is that surprising? Well, it's because NMN is a precursor to a form of cellular energy called NAD. NAD provides energy to either repair your DNA or repair your tissues. And as we get older, we have less and less. And this leads to the body having to decide, do I repair the DNA or do I repair the tissue? And it's usually going to go and repair the tissue. Well, when it does that, it doesn't have the opportunity to repair the DNA, but the DNA is constantly replicating itself. So the theory is that we take NMN and that provides us more NAD, and that allows us to fix problems with our DNA as it repairs itself. But in addition to that, we can also use that cellular energy to repair our tissues, allowing us to live a healthier life. So this not only expands lifespan, but it expands the health span. My goal of taking NMN is that I can expand my health span. Yes, I would love to see my grandkids a few more years. I'd love to see my great-grandkids. But most importantly for me is that when I do see my grandkids or my great-grandkids, or maybe it's just that I get to see my kids, I don't know, my health span will be longer so that I can enjoy those years, I can be more present during those years, and I can be someone who maybe I can do them a favor, I can take them to baseball practice, I can actually maybe help them with their gardening. I started to hear anecdotal things, hey, so-and-so, whenever he had this kind of an infection, he took more and he got over his illness faster, or so-and-so, whenever they had a injury, they took a little bit more, they got over the injury faster. Lo and behold, I found myself in a situation where I was coming down with something, and so I doubled my NMN. I'm not saying that you should. They've only actually completely demonstrated safety at 1.2. But what I did notice was that I would get over colds really fast. I overdid it in the gym, I injured my shoulder, and so I tried this again. I took a little extra. So I felt more energy, and I recovered faster. Now, about halfway through this year, I also started to notice that my blood pressure reduced. Now, it didn't reduce in some huge miraculous fashion, but I did notice a consistent reduction in my blood pressure. Typically keep my blood pressure pretty well in check. I noticed that anytime I would take my blood pressure, it just gradually decreased. I like that. There's a lot of correlation between keeping a nice, healthy, low blood pressure and longevity as well. It seems to really take care of inflammation really well. So sometimes maybe I will have a few beers. Taking a little extra NMN the next morning has been a game changer. So now we need to address something. Jesse, you take NMN Bio and you have a coupon code and an affiliate link down there. How can I trust you? You seem to have a vested interest in taking NMN. This whole thing came from my own interest in taking NMN. The thing I couldn't do was go to the company and look at the factory and look at all the different things. One, you don't know if it really is NMN. It could also be some other toxic, weird chemical that you're putting into your body. The supplementation industry is not regulated, my friends, and that is why I did a lot of research to try to make sure I found the right brand to take. Dr. Elena Serenova has a PhD in cellular biology and autophagy, which is basically this field, aging, how the aging process happens. I did some research as far as the sourcing of where she gets her NMN, and it was the only brand that I felt really comfortable with buying. That's why I reached out to her, and that's why I represent them whenever I talk about NMN. Is it cheap? No, it's not cheap. I'm sorry guys, it's not. But at least I know that the money that I spend is going to actually buy what I think I'm buying, as opposed to what could be rice powder or just anything else, because I can't depend on it making me feel a certain way. While I do feel a difference in certain times, and of course I just explained those times, I can't necessarily say every single day, oh, I feel my NMN working. I'm continuing to take NMN, and I'm gonna be checking back in with you also with a lot of the other supplements that I take with NMN to get the best maximum result. Friends, take a look at these videos if you'd like to know more, and don't forget to go out there and be kind to one another.